Kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1842. We'll use purple today. You can cross that one off. Breakthrough day. Yes, it's also Finish It Friday. So how was your Friday? My Friday has been rocking. I started off having somebody had introduced me to somebody who lives in British Columbia via Facebook Messenger and said, hey, you guys have this stuff in common with the genealogy and da-da-da-da-da. So we got on, we had a 30-minute time slot that booked into her calendar in a 30-minute time slot. And like 2.5 hours later, we finally had to end the Zoom. I had to go work and she had an appointment with a client. But I had to tell you this, it was an amazing conversation. And we started talking about genealogy. She was sharing these amazing family stories. And I'm sort of like, has anybody written these down? She's like, yes. I'm like, awesome. So if you've been following me when it comes to genealogy, it is write everything, write down these stories. Somebody needs to be recording the stories that are told. And a lot of times they are just told verbally rather than written down. So get these stories written down so they can be passed on to generations. And she was telling me about a great-grandfather who was coming over from Ireland to Canada. And he went to book on a ship and it was sold out. So he had to get the next sailing. The ship that was sold out was the Titanic. And I'm like, that is such a cool story. And so her great-grandfather, she almost did not exist because her great-grandfather was almost on the Titanic, except for it was sold out. So he didn't get to go sailing on that. He went on the ship that went a few days later. But what an incredible story to be able to tell your family that you had a tie to that incident that happened. And this is one thing that I really love about researching family trees and things, is that when you come across something that took place in a certain time period, finding out what was happening in history at that time, and were your ancestors involved in some way. There's been like one of the families that I'm researching right now that has some sort of blood relation to me, and I'm still trying to figure out that little connection, but we have a breakthrough. I'll tell you about that in a moment. One of them was involved in the War of 1812. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know any of that, but all I know is that he's come up in some document for the War of 1812. No, it was actually in a family story. Somebody had written his story, and it was listed in there that he was involved in the War of 1812. So I'm sort of like, okay, is that on the part of the family that I'm related to by blood, or is it not? So we're still trying to find that connection. So I still have the Darlings and the Darlingtons that I'm still trying to plug into the tree. But it's on the Darling side. Oh, no, hang on. No. I think, hang on. Where did that piece of paper go? Hang on. This is all my research from this week, believe it or not. Yes. And I've got it all sorted into family bits and pieces. And so then I had this, so I did some work for a client, went on this call, that ended up going a little longer than anticipated. So I didn't even get to do some research this morning because I knew I had the call coming in. So I had to get that taken care of. Oh, there it is. Hang on. It might have been in this one. No, it wasn't in that one. Okay. I got to go back and find out exactly where it was. It wasn't in the one I thought it was in. So I did work for a client, got on this call, was planning to be on this call for like 30 minutes, then do some more work for this client. That didn't work out because we ended up talking 2.5 hours. And by the time we got off the Zoom, it was time for me to have lunch and get ready to go online for the help chat, which what we did. And then when I finished the help chat for the day, I got stuck into my genealogy because I had my stack of what did I do with my phone? I have my stack of Post-it notes. Had to go through those and get back to where I was, and I made a discovery. And so one of the people who I have a DNA connection with, and it was showing that it was a half third cousin twice removed. Turns out that she's actually not a half third cousin twice removed. She's just a third cousin twice removed, because somewhere along the line I was given, and I'm going back through mine, and I've got boxes of information and stuff. And so I need to find out where I got that information from, but I know it's written somewhere. I was given the information of who my fourth great grandmother was. And this is where the half comes in, because my fourth great grandfather supposedly had this one wife, which is who I descend from. Then he supposedly got married again and had other children, which is where the half third cousin twice removed comes in, because that's her tree. It turns out, through the research that I was doing today, because I was doing my due, because somebody gave me the information at some point in the Wayback Machine, and I know that there are errors in my family tree, and when I come across them, it's like, oh, that's one that I had to fix, because some of them I've got notes written in the thing that I need to go back and do stuff on them. It's one really cool thing about Ancestry. You've got these little notes and comments that you can put in there of what you need to do, and they've got little tags that you can put in there. And I know there's a whole slew of stuff that I completely screwed up. I know it's in a particular area. I know the last name that's involved. Do you think I can find it? No, but I will come across it. So this was one that I had a note in there that I needed to go research my fourth great grandmother a little further. So in researching, I discovered that my fourth great grandmother wasn't who I thought it was. It was the same person that my half third cousin twice removed was related to. So the half got removed, because now I've found the common grandparent that we had. My fourth great grandparents are her, grandparents, second great grandparents. So her second great grandparents and my fourth great grandparents are the same. So that was my major breakthrough. And I was like, yes, okay, that piece is fun. So that kind of completed that one. So I was able to update my DNA match on Ancestry, because you can go in and you can say, you can actually put there that this is the relationship that you have with this person, what the DNA, because it will say like second to fourth cousin, second to fifth cousin, fifth to eighth cousin. It will have something like that. But when you find that match, you can then go back into Ancestry, into your DNA matches. You click the little button, and you can actually update the status to what it actually is. So it gives you an estimate of what it thinks, and then you can go and put what the actual is. So I was able to go in and put that she's my third cousin twice removed. And yes, they do have the half ones listed in there as well, just as an FYI. So that was my major breakthrough for the day. So now I'm back on the darling side, and I know where the common ancestor is for, actually, no, it's not all darlings. It's darlings, and what was the other name? Mastico? It's an Italian name. And these two are related to each other. They actually have grandparents, and not one of them, it is, hang on, let's see if I've got it here. Yeah, hang on, here it is. On the darling, it's the second great grandparent is the common. So yeah, so the two I'm trying to find, they have common grandparents. So one is, it's their great grandparents versus their second great grandparents. So on one, it's the second great grandparents, and the other one, it's the great grandparents, but they have this couple in common. So now I have to figure out from those two, is it through the wife's line, or is it through the husband's line where we have the connection? So now that's what I'm going back to working on. Now that because I also know too that my third cousin twice removed also has these two people that I am researching that have the common in common as well. So now I have to figure out how that all connects. So I kind of think it comes in on the same, that I have a feeling, and this is what I have to go prove, that my fourth great grandparents are the key to this whole thing. So somewhere along their line of their 8 children, I think they had, no, it might be 10. That I think that's where the other ones are going to come in, on one of those other lines. So yes, so it's like, yes. So I'm trying to work it from both ends, like going through the kids, discovering who they got married to, what kids they went and what children they went and had, and because there'll be a daughter somewhere along the line that got married, because that's how the other surnames will come into it. Where did those surnames come in? But at the same time, I have another issue, because I have the darling that has on the 1940 census, he has a wife with one name, and on the 1950 census, he has a wife with a different name. And supposedly, according to other trees that I have found, which I don't accept those into my tree, I just look at it for information only or clues. It said that he got married to the second wife in 1943. Yeah, which means that every child that was born from 1944 onwards would be with the second wife, not the first wife. And I can prove that they were actually married because of, it all comes down to census reports and seeing where they were living at the time, and the fact that in the 1950 telephone directory and the 1950 census, they have them living at this house that's number 351 of the street that they're on. And in the 1940 census, his wife was living at that address in the 1940 census. His second wife was living at that address in the 1940 census. And he actually lived on that street at a different street number. So it's sort of like, wow, there's too much stuff going on there. But he had a different wife in 1940 who was actually so here's a really cool thing they did on the 1940 census. If you're going, well, for this particular area, if you're going down through the 1940 census, some of them have an X with a circle around it next to a name. That X with a circle around it means that is the person in the household that provided the information to the enumerator. So in this case, it was the wife that provided the information. So I thought, okay, well, there's absolutely no way that the enumerator could get her name wrong, is there? And I found the marriage certificate to the wife that's in the 1940 census. I have yet to find the marriage record for the one in the 1950 census, who supposedly got married in 1943. So yes, so I'm working it from two different angles, and somewhere in the middle, we're going to meet and it's all going to make sense. And I'm going to be like, yay. But right. And they're meant to be fifth to eighth cousins. So I only have so many generations I can work with. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm absolutely loving it. But that was my big breakthrough for the day, finding out that I actually had the wrong person down for my fourth great grandmother, and getting the right person in there. And then as soon as I clicked her in, there was this whole slew of information that came up when I had her clicked into all the children that she had, with the exception of the one daughter that I already knew was hers. But as soon as I plugged her into the other ones, all this information started coming up, and she was appearing on, and, like their birth records were coming up with her name on it. There was marriage records coming up with her name on it for all of these kids. And I was sort of like, okay, so we actually are I've got the right names for all the kids. I've got the right years that they were born. So all of that information was already matching. I was now finding their marriage records, their birth records with her name on there when they put the mother's name on the records. So I was like, yes. So major breakthrough. And so then I finished the week out with my projects done for the week. And I was on late because I was talking with my caregiver mentee that I am mentoring. And I love, it's just part of how I can give back to those that are now on their cancer journey, and just using my experiences to help them with theirs. So she had a question, I had answers. Suggest not this is it was suggestions on what to do next. So yes, so I apologize for being late, but it's been a super fantastic sparkling day, especially making this breakthrough. And now I just got to go find those missing links between my fourth great grandparents and these fifth to eighth cousins, and finding out exactly how they fit into the tree. So that's my next. I might do some of that this weekend. But I have a call tomorrow morning, and then I'm meeting somebody for lunch. I'm actually going out for lunch tomorrow. I'm going to meet at a Chinese restaurant that's like 5 minutes up the road from here. So that'll be exciting. And yeah, so it's going to be, I got my to-do list for the weekend. And my reward is going, and I've got housework to do this weekend, and I hate doing housework. So my reward is get the housework done, and I get to dive into all of this again. So I am super excited about that. So incentivize. If when you are working on projects and you're like, I really don't want to do that, find a way to make a game out of it. If I do this, I get this reward. For me, it could be, with my James Bond month, every November, I don't get to sit down and watch James Bond unless my to-do list for the day is complete. So is there a reason for me? My incentive is to get that stuff done. I almost said another word. Get that stuff done so I can sit down, relax, and enjoy watching James Bond. And I have a certain time to get it done by. I got to take her for a walk, like around 5 o'clock in the evening or something like that, so that we're still in daylight at that time of the year. Even now, let's see, what are we at? 6:30. So I have to take her for a walk by 7. I have to be out the door by 7 o'clock. Otherwise, we're going to be walking in the dark. Or it's getting too dark to walk. You need a flashlight, and I need my reflector vest on and all that stuff. And so come November, we have to go for a walk earlier to get into the daylight. So then I get to come home and get done what needs to get done so I can sit down and watch James Bond that evening. And I've done that anytime even my Christmas, when I do the holiday movies in December, same thing. Can't sit down and watch the movie unless my to-do list for the day is done. And that includes housework and laundry and all the stuff that we don't like to do. But the incentive is I get to watch a movie at the end of it. And so right now it's sort of like get that done, and then I get to sit down on my laptop if I want to, put some noise on in the background, which could be some movie playing in the background, and get to get stuck into doing some more family tree research. And I have been good. Last night I did not do any family tree research when we got back from the walk. I was exhausted. It was too hot to walk. So we came home and had dinner and just vegged out for the evening. And I don't even remember what the set. I know that we'd finished watching one series, which annoyed me because they left it with a cliffhanger. And they did 2 seasons of this program. Striking Out. It was called Striking Out. It was done through Acorn. And it was based on a woman who was a lawyer, a solicitor. Was a solicitor in Ireland. Was she a solicitor or a barrister? I can't remember which way around it is. One does the actual in-court stuff, and the other one is there sort of as a support person. And the one that does all the talking in court's one that wears the robes and the wig, and I can't remember if that's the barrister or the solicitor. I think it's the barrister. And the solicitor is the one that is sort of like has done all the research and the investigation and everything else, and is the one that feeds the information as needed to the barrister so they can then do all the questioning and that sort of thing. I think it's that way. Maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember. But it was a really good series, and they only made 2 seasons of it, and they left it with a cliffhanger. So, really? So I was not happy. And then it automatically started playing some other one. I don't even know the name of it. But it's starting off pretty good. Husband flies from Ireland, again, takes place in Ireland, from Ireland to Montreal, is in Montreal for some pharmaceutical medical convention conference thingamabob, and he ends up in the red light district dead on the road. And the wife is like, I don't even know what he does. And she's a lawyer by trade, and she used to be the legal department for this big pharmaceutical company that her husband worked for. And so she knows all about non-disclosures and everything else, and doesn't say anything. And because of his work, they never talked about his work. He would just go off and says, I need to go out of town. I'll be back in a few days. And she never knew where he was going because of the security of his job, because of the secrecy of his job that he did for this pharmaceutical company. And so now they're trying to find out who killed him, why, what was he over there for? And the wife is being looked at sort of like, well, what do you know? Because, surely he told you about this. And she's like, no, we made a point of never, ever talking about his job. He never told us where he was. I didn't know where he was. I didn't know this. Never knew where he was going, how long he was going to be gone for. He was just saying, I need to go out of town. That was basically it. And I need to go out of town for work. And that was it. He was gone. And he'd be back when he was back. And she said she never called, although this one time she did actually call him. No, he called her before an appointment. And he called her before an appointment and had a quick talk with her before. And that was the last time they spoke. But any other time, there's never been any communication between them whenever he's been gone out of town. So it's kind of like, I don't know if I could handle that. I don't know if I was married to someone like that, I don't know if I could handle the fact that they're going off. I don't know where they are. I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know what their job involves because it's all secret. All that you know is they work for this pharmaceutical company and everything else is a secret. And I was like, I'm not sure if I could handle that. But and having no contact with them while they're gone. You don't know how long they're going to be gone for. So yeah. But she's found out that he was in Montreal at a medical conference and somehow ended up laying down, face down on the road in the middle of the red light district, dead. With I'm trying to remember if they've discovered how he died. I don't know. But I don't even remember what the name of the program is. So I'm sort of like, oh, great. Well, if I find it, I can watch the rest of it. If I don't, it doesn't matter. It's just noise in the background. But so anyway, you ready for your walk? Look at that serious face tonight. Such a serious face. Hey, sweet girl. All right, we're going to go for our walk. So go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at